I have just received some important feedback. I am terrible at counting down from 5. Chris Cody, executive producer of the show, has waited until the last day of my, almost last day of my week here.
Pot kettle situation here.
Uh-oh.
I was counting 5, 4, 3, 2,
7.
1. Hello, I'm Pablo Torre, and I've been told that this infuriates everybody, but I'm only now finding out about this.
Yeah, they didn't know how to break it to you.
Yeah. Good
The
producing.
video side hates you.
Chris
The
doesn't.
feeling is mutual.
Wow! Oh, no! Oh.
I have been asking
They said
for
they're
this-
not going to give you the Stugotz picture.
I've been
now.
asking for this Stugots picture the entire show. We did a whole segment about prom photos, and it was my attempt to set up this one photo. It was a long segue to the one thing I had today that I wanted to talk about.
That chair
and
has
it is
changed
this
you.
photo.
That chair has
For
changed
the
you.
love of God, Lewis, put up the goddamn photo. Please.
There it is.
Thank you. So this is
Wow.
Stugotz yesterday,
Wow.
New York City, big DraftKings event. God bless football live.
Verizon.
And
Look at that
youtube.com/LeBatard and friends. Go see the work our excellent video team puts out regularly on command without delay. But for those who cannot see this in the podcast audience, how would you describe what we're looking at?
I just can't stop looking at Golic Sr. That's all I see.
You said in the break, Chris, that he has sexy old man hands.
He's developing them. Look at that right hand.
I don't know. Is like the placement, or are you talking about the way it actually
No,
looks?
just the way his
So
hands
left
look.
to right, what we have is on the left, Justin Tuck, hand over hand in front of his crotch,
Looking
very
great.
neutral.
Looking great.
That's what I call the soccer wall stance.
Probably could have left crotch out
Great
of the
call, I
description,
mean.
but thank
Although
you.
if he were really in a soccer wall, he'd put his hands behind his back.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And then you got a cheesin' Gojo, Mike Golic Jr., who's just great smile, looking good. He's gone full bald, which is something I'm thinking about. So I'm
Gojo
looking
is
at that.
flourishing.
Yeah.
My man, Mike Golic Jr. is flourishing. He is thrilled. He is happy. He is organically enthusiastic about this
Are
event.
football players the only athletes who look better in retirement than they do when they're active?
O-lineman, dude, absolutely.
Look at,
Like
like,
the body
Stink.
transformation of an O-lineman like our friend Mike Golic Jr.
Yeah.
is unlike anything else. And so, too, is the case with Mike Golic Sr.
What's the worst sport? I will get back to this photo, but I like this game that Amin's bringing us to. What's the worst? Baseball, right?
Baseball guys.
I mean, we
baseball
just saw
guys-
Scott Rowland.
Actually, no,
Jeez,
I take that
mean,
back.
man.
Scott Rowland doesn't look good? Let me
I
look
take
that up.
that back.
I feel
Because
bad about
baseball
this.
guys that look bad in retirement usually already had some heft to them before, like when they were active. Basketball players. Boy, basketball players age terribly. Like, some of them do. Some of them look great. Some of them look fine. And then some of them like, oh, my God. Especially, like, the weight gain.
Well,
in
because
some
you
of them.
remember them being nimble
and
ballerinas.
lean, right?
Yes, because they're dancing on the court. They're agile. They're doing all this stuff. I said agile like David Attenborough. They're agile. They're doing all this stuff. But Chris Cody,
Agile and hairstyle.
Chris Cody is yelping. I think you literally
What do you
yelped.
saw? What do you see? What do you see?
Scott Rowland, it's not that bad.
Oh, so then why'd you make that?
You know-
part?
you
Right.
know
You
who
have
looks
to
great?
Keep on doing
Now he
this.
feels bad about it because you guys are age shaming.
You know who looks great? The crime dog. Fred McGriff.
Fred McGriff?
He looks good.
That's a guy who you knew he was never going to.
I think a lot of people are making fun of Stugotz in this photo because of how short he is, standing next to
That's
3
not why.
former professional football
That's not
players.
why,
But
but-
I don't think his height is the problem. I
That's-
think
yeah.
it's the baggy, untucked shirt and the fact that he's in proximity to Mike Golic Sr.
Yeah.
We have to describe Stugotz before we delve into what Mike Golic Sr. is glowing up like.
I'm with Jess, though. I think that if Stugotz has his shirt tucked in here, we say he looks great.
So Stugotz is on the right side of this photo. He has Mike Golic Jr.'s arm around his shoulder. And Stugotz has a couple of things that are conspicuous to observe. Number one, Stugotz shaved. This is picture day Stugotz. This
And
is
no
prom
hat.
photo Stugotz. There is no hat.
product.
And not only that, there is product to me.
Yeah. He's got
Product.
in the
He
hair.
has a combed over hairstyle.
I just can't look at him because I can't stop looking at Golic Sr. Like, I know you want me to focus on Stugotz right now, but I just can't.
The button-down shirt that Stugotz is wearing would be the lead of this story if not for the fact that one Golic away is another Golic who looks like a movie star. I'm not even kidding.
He's mastered the stance, right?
Yes,
Like, one hand in the
dude,
pocket.
yes,
You know,
I
like
mean.
that's not like a casual thing.
Veteran savvy.
That's veteran savvy. Like,
But even the hand outside of the pocket.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Great old man hand.
But
I'm telling you, he's
I don't know. You need to describe
Troy Aikman.
I don't know what that means.
Troy Aikman's hands.
I've never.
All I can say is say other people that have this
What
going on.
what other characters? Is it veiny?
You gotta have
Is
It's
it
the
weathered?
veins. We're all whispering over here. It's the veins.
It's for sure. I don't want a veinless hand, for sure.
You want a varicose hand.
Right.
Okay.
That
and-
hand would be dead.
How
It would
about-
have gangrene.
It has to have a nice like tan to it. It can't be
Got
like my
you.
hand's way too pale.
Got you. What
Yeah.
about
Americas.
hair? Because it looks like he's got a little bit of hair there, right?
I'm not noticing the hair.
A little bit of fur.
A little bit of fur right here on the forearm, and then the other thing is the skin looks weathered. You like that weathered?
You gotta
look on-
have that old. That's what
Lived
makes
in.
it the old man
Lived
special.
in.
Yeah.
Yes, like suede.
His
You don't
hand
want
knows
suede.
how to use tools.
Yes.
Oh my God!
Like you
It's-
don't want to moisturize too much.
It's
There's
velvety.
the perfect balance of like you want to moisturize every once in a while, but not.
It's
not
rugged.
Yes.
Rugged. That's a word.
That's
There you
it.
go.
Rugged and veiny.
Weathered, velvety, no rugged, veiny.
That's how I like my hands.
It looks like he
Yes,
worked
your
at a
hands.
vineyard. That's the vibe I'm getting.
A vineyard.
Yeah,
I
it
feel
looks
like-
like he worked there.
I feel like I could see him in a REI commercial taking a tent out of a backpack, but it's
Oh.
a very nice tent.
I want to
and
go
we're
back to what
glamping.
Lucy said. I can see him walking through his vineyard. He didn't work at the vineyard. He owns the vineyard. and he
wow,
stops at a
okay.
random one and like picks a grape and tastes it and like, okay. Wearing that outfit exactly. The shirt
Wait,
tucked in. The
I mean,
That is exact.
Do you
He's
guys
in
have-
Napa Valley?
do you guys? Oh, I was gonna ask. Do you guys have Mike Golic Sr. with an accent? Is this vineyard? Is he now
Is he
European?
British?
No. Is
No.
this Napa? Is this Tuscany? Is this Greece?
I
Because
have
the
him-
tan indicates that he has a Mediterranean flair, guys.
Well, I'm going to take him back to the old country and call him Mike Golic. That's what he looks like. Let's get that picture up there one more time. Let's take a look at Mike Golic.
Mike Golic.
Yeah, there he is.
He
yeah.
looks like he's gone pescatarian.
Really?
for sure. For
He looks
years.
like a guy like that. He's like, yeah, I just fish. That's it.
Yeah. I only eat what I catch. That's the other thing.
Everything about him is perfectly proportioned now. His shirt, the pants fit beautifully. The roll, the
tuck.
cuff.
Look at the tuck.
I wish we could
Dude.
put up a picture of what he looked like at the start of Mike and Mike.
I could
Yes.
tuck my shirt
Lewis.
in 100 times. I could never get a tuck as perfect as that, right? Where it's not like completely shoved in, but it's also not like a muffin top where it's overflowing. It is the
mean-
perfect tuck.
And don't sleep on the buttons that are unbuttoned.
Oh, how many buttons? How many buttons?
That's
How
it.
many
That's
buttons?
two. That's two.
Two.
That's two.
Stugotz is one.
Stugotz and Mike Golic Jr. and Justin Tuck, all too nervous for the second unbuttoned button.
I'm being told that the mandate for the dress code was smart casual.
Damn, dude.
Stugotz
Wow.
just looks
Stugot-
stupid casual.
Sad casual.
I love Stugotz. I take it back.
Stugotz is
Oh, look at the zoom.
like
It's
the-
just too big of a
it's-
shirt.
It's the untucked shirt
It's
being
just
too
too big and it's too untucked.
And it's in
It's
perspective.
not too big. It's not. Hold on. Man, I know this isn't great for camera work, but I want to just point. No, keep the picture up, please. I want to point right there. You see, like, count the buttons down from the mic. 1, 2, 3, 4. That shirt's not too big. That's his belly pushing up against the shirt like a hot air balloon that is filled with hot air. Gas, yes. Like he's not wearing a shirt that's too big. That's the only shirt he can wear where the buttons aren't fighting for their lives just to keep everything together.
Can you guys tell me if Stugotz is smizing? Is this a smize?
A smize.
Because it's his eyes are trying to do the smiling.
He's
His
just,
mouth
no,
is
he's just smiling.
his mouth is
baked.
frozen in like this. What is it? A rictus? What is it called when your face is just frozen in a way that is
Rigor mortis
there's a little rigor mortis in his mouth.
in his mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Rictus is the correct term.
I think he's.
Thank you.
By the way, have we lost the highfalutin sound? Because Pablo's been on one this
Thank
this
God.
hour. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Now I'm looking at his face here. I think it's almost like he didn't want to smile, but then at the last minute he realized what an amazing scene he's in. He's
It's
here
a
with the
smug
Golics.
smile. He feels very smug. He got to finagle a trip to New York, paid for by DraftKings. He got to do a show with the Golics and Justin Tuck, giving him so much clout, and he didn't have to be in work that day. I assume there's a Dead and Company show somewhere in the Northeast this weekend, and he's gotten it all expensed and paid for. He's very smug right now.
And all this on the heels of that awful announcing article.
Oh,
Did he?
You're
Now
right,
here's a
Roy.
question: do you think afterwards he located the Verizon person and tried to finagle like free service for his family?
Want a
Yes.
free FiOS?
Or something, right? Like a high-speed internet, something, anything.
The person who could get anything they wanted is Mike Golic Sr. If that man came up
From
to me,
me.
dude, it's his head being cocked in one direction. It's just the tilt.
It really sucks being on a sports show with someone 10 times more attractive than you every week.
I would love to be in a prom photo
Can someone send me this
with Mike
photo?
Golic Sr.
I just
want him
this
to
photo
hold me.
for my own personal use.
Poor Justin Tuck. We haven't given him any.
Oh yeah, he was there too.
Oh my God, it's Thursday Thunder. And Thursday Thunder is brought to you by our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook. You can follow our parlay on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. How do we feel about this week's parlay, Jess?
Pretty good about my leg, Chris Cody. I'm going with the New York Liberty over the Atlanta Dream tonight. Sorry, Renee and Haley Jones, who was on Montgomery and Company this week. But the Liberty are going to continue the reign of terror. They won a close one against the Storm the other night, and I think they're going to win again against the Dream.
Over to Roy.
All right. Thanks. We got the Cleveland Guardians and the Chicago White Sox tonight. I am going with the Guardians. tonight.
And
That's
Roy
my
did
bet.
not just pick a team here. There's
no.
some serious deep diving going on. He's not going to tell you any of the stuff he found, but what he found is the reason he's going with who, Roy?
The Cleveland Guardians. Tanner Beebe is pitching for the Guardians tonight. He's facing
TB.
Dylan Cease.
Lucy, who do you have?
Women's World Cup tonight, Argentina, South Africa. The winner will win their first ever World Cup match. The loser goes home. Argentina should have made it out against that Italy match with the draw, so I'm taking the Argentina money line.
I hate lightning.
That's not lightning.
Do you guys, whatever.
That's thunder.
Do you
There's-
guys
that- hence the
have
name.
a fear of it like I do, though? Like, I know no one likes it. Like, there's no one in here that's like, oh, I'm
You're
a
like
big
a
fan of lightning.
dog that's afraid
I love
of storms.
thunderstorms.
I love thunderstorms. Mike Ryan's story scared the shit out of me earlier this week.
Oh yeah,
I think
Mike's
I'm-
plane got hit by lightning and he almost died.
And he decided to tweet about it. I think
He didn't almost die.
I think I'm affecting my daughter negatively. I think my daughter's going to be afraid of lightning because of the way I act when it's like a storm and me and her in the car, and I'm like, all right, let's go. Get by the door. We're about to go. And then like we run real fast and I hate it. Like when it's like
you don't like getting wet, or you're afraid you're gonna get
not just
struck
when
by
it's
lightning?
raining, but like when you're in one of those things where it's like every 10 seconds. We get these down here in South Florida like once a week, where it's like you just feel it. You can see it everywhere, and it's just there's nothing more terrifying.
Our
than
storms are the scariest.
when there's like 50 feet, I need to go, and it's like I don't want to go right now. I'm terrified of lightning, and it's just. Anyone have an opposite take of that? Who's a big lightning guy? You a big lightning guy?
I don't mind it.
Really? Like you don't get scared?
No, it's cool. I like storm watching actually.
It's
Do you guys ever go on the lightning map website when there's a lightning storm?
I didn't even know that
I didn't.
existed.
Yes.
Google lightningmaps.org, I think it is, and you can see exactly where the lightning strikes are, and it'll be a bright red dot, and you'll see it kind of like these waveforms come out of it for the most recent ones, and then they fade as the time goes on. You could see all of the lightning storms.
Is that where they
lightning.
found Drew Brees down in Central America?
Oh, I forgot about that scandal.
How many different things do you have like that you track? Because I know you do planes.
Yeah, you
A
track
lot of
You
stuff.
track
yeah,
planes,
weather. I love
lightning.
Doppler radar.
Doppler.
Oh my god.
The Doppler
The
effect.
iPhone weather app has really put a wrench
Yeah.
in my weather tracking because
Are you
they
big
bought
Wazer?
Dark Sky.
Big Wazer.
Oh,
checking
Dark
traffic.
Sky got bought by Apple.
Yeah, and Dark Sky
Not
was
as
the
good
best.
now. It was the best. You got to see the weather fronts, the map actually update.
You could see the cloud coverage for your area. It was
Yeah.
incredible. And it was so accurate, and now it's gone. And I'm
I'm
very
sorry.
sad.
The only thing I use the weather app for is like, what's the temperature right now? That's it. Like I can't even be bothered.
That's like-
other than when it's really hot and I see it's gonna be really hot for the next like week or so, which it's been for a month in Arizona. I'll sometimes screenshot it and I'll have some funny pun music underneath about how hot it is. Or
That's
fire
like
or whatever.
going to a restaurant and ordering chicken tenders every time. There's a whole other world out there.
There's nothing
waiting to be
wrong
explored.
with prioritizing chicken tenders.
To recap, what is our parlay?
Oh yeah.
The Liberty,
The Guardians.
Argentina.
Thursday Thunder ends right now.
Oh, okay.
And now we move on
The chicken tendies.
to the poll.
Oh.
This week's polls are brought to you by our friends at Dollar Shave Club. Epic razors, epically affordable. Find them in stores or online. I'm going to update some polls. What do you guys think?
Sure.
I think you should.
Thank God.
Does
Sponsored.
standing next to Golic in a picture make you look less attractive than you usually do? I mean, this should be 100%.
Is it not 100%?
What are 25%
it's
of
never
these people
100%.
thinking? It's only 75% yes. You 25% are monsters.
There is nobody I would take before Mike Golic Sr. in a snake draft of most handsome, most beautiful people in sports media.
snake draft? Huh?
You're not wrong. Next poll. Do you hate Duke University?
That's another 100%.
Similar percentage. 74% say yes.
Who likes Duke?
Duke fans.
I guess.
We must have a few.
But
that
even
listen
deep
to us for
down,
some
They
time.
I don't mind them.
they want the answer to
Self-loathing.
be no.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, they hate Duke.
That's true.
That's
Poll.
their kink.
Is Stugotz okay?
Another 100%er. These poll questions have been so easy this
The
week.
most we finally have the most lopsided one of the day. 88% say no.
12% think he's doing okay?
Name one thing that indicates that Stugotz is okay.
That smug look on his face.
And those are
That's
the
true.
polls.
Good polls.
Polling it.
You got the pulse of a nation. Do the polls.
Let that sit there.
You got the horns over there. Hit the button.
Do I?
No, don't.
Do
Right
I?
now, we're looking, if you guys look up, we are looking at a Mike and Mike early days.
oh my
Mike
God, they
Golic.
found it.
Thank you.
Oh, wow. What, with
He's
the
like
Eagles?
he's the baby face. Look, I just want to pitch those cheeks. Come here.
It is like almost childish, right? Like the way he looks. He looks like a child.
It's adorable.
It
That's the
is.
word that comes to mind.
And that grew up to
He's
become.
like, he has that kid from Stranger Things vibe. Just like those cheeks.
That gives me hope that I
Gatton.
can
He was
look
in
like
Sweeney Todd.
I can look like Golic Sr. someday now. It gives me hope.
I-
I'm not saying I look like this
You
because
know
he's
what?
like way jacked, more jacked than I. Like I'm just saying like that gives me hope. The fact that he once looked like that and now he looks like he does now gives me hope.
He looks like the big kid on that cartoon Recess.
Look, it's not the same person, man. I'm gonna tell you what, Chris. If you have that kind of like percentage weight loss like him, you know what you'd look like? Like Bill Burr.
Oh, wow.
Like I could see Chris being like a Bill Burr type, shaved head, beard going.
That's the
Chris
that's
is not
my,
loving.
So you're
his
saying like that's
comp.
Bill Burr is like
Look, man. Yeah.
it's like,
You
Yeah, find a redhead, man.
you gotta work. Yeah, like-
Well, the hair color of Mike Golic Sr., the salt and pepper, like
Yeah.
he's leaning in. It's not just that he looks like he works on a vineyard that he owns. It's that he's not afraid of showing you how long he has been on this planet wandering,
Let me
being
tell you something.
weathered.
I don't understand people who feel the need to dye their hair. Like I would gladly go
Same.
full shocks of dark brown white hair if you gave me my hairline back from when I was like 21 years old.
You would go Cornell West.
Oh, easily.
Oh, God.
Easily.
I feel like Conan O'Brien's my ceiling.
No, come on.
No.
Man.
What about Prince
Are
Harry?
you Googling famous gingers?
Prince Harry.
He doesn't
Prince
have a
Harry.
beard.
There's my ceiling.
Let me see Prince Harry.
He's got
He's
his-
a cutie pie.
his hairline's
He's
too
a
good,
real
though.
cutie
yeah,
pie.
that's because it's got to be
Harry?
someone bald. You need
Why?
a bald ginger.
Why?
Well,
Well,
I could have things done.
He
that's
Googled
right.
famous gingers, and number 3 is Julianne Moore.
yeah, you know Prince Harry. I'll give it to you. You know what?
Ron Howard's number 5.
No,
All right, this
Ron,
isn't great.
no, Ron Howard is a no, man.
Ah, the Da Vinci Code.
Something's gone wrong if you're Ron
happy
Howard.
days.
Days are not happy at all. If you go Ron Howard,
Jessica
Two
Chastain.
Americas on that.
Something to aspire
Oh,
to.
the guy from Harry Potter I could be.
Ron Weasley.
Rupert Grint.
My wife had a thing for I think that's why I'm with my wife.
Okay, wait. Suey for best revelation.
Oh,
Holy crap. She was
a big Harry Potter guy and
person,
she
and
liked
she
me.
met
This-
you.
Harry
and
Potter
you were
guy.
her Ron?
Is profound.
She was a big Ron Weasley guy.
Uh-huh.
Aren't we all though?
No.
I think a lot of people liked Ron. It wasn't like a trendy.
It
like,
wasn't, though,
hipster pick.
you know what I need
I
to
don't
do?
like how you said no so aggressively there.
Yeah, I didn't either. That's why I immediately jumped on the other side.
I do regret that. I'm sorry, Chris.
He was a fan fave.
Sorry, Ron. I mean, it's not me you're offending. You went
That's
after
true.
him.
Expelliarmus.
Expelliarmus.
Armus.
Did
Hartford.
Rupert Grint get paid more than Emma Watson? I love like the suggested questions from Google because they give me questions that I never thought of. I never even considered for a second.
Autocomplete in Google search is a dangerous game.
Grint's salary is also the exact same as his Harry Potter co-star Emma Watson, who also made $70 million from all 8 Harry Potter movies. They got paid $70 million
It seems low, right?
for Ron freaking Weasley.
For 8 movies?
$70 million.
They were like the titular characters. Well, not
No,
literally,
they weren't.
Harry Potter
They're
was.
not.
How much did Daniel Radcliffe
I don't
make?
know, but like
Literal
Adjusted for
title.
inflation.
$9 million a picture.
It
Come
seems
on.
like it should be more.
Nah, get out of here.
No?
Where's she going?
Yeah, where is she going?
Told her to get out of here.
Yeah.
Get out of here with this. Get out of this conversation. Go think about things.
I'm thinking about it. I'm trying to decide if I've
You're
thought about it
saying
enough.
that
or
Emma
not enough.
Watson, like Aaron Rodgers, should have taken a voluntary pay cut to let the rest of the Harry Potter franchise afford bigger salaries for the rest of this
I didn't
salary
say-
cap
That was not what I
situation?
thought he was saying.
I was
Oh.
saying Ron Weasley making $9 million.
Oh, Ron Weasley.
I'm like,
Okay.
relax. I'm not. No, he's not Aaron Rodgers. Sorry. You know what he is? He's what's my man that had to take minimum and everyone? Bol. That's what he is. He should be Bol. Should be just happy to be in the league.
Am I the only person that haven't seen any of these movies?
No, I haven't seen him either.
Okay, there you go.
That actually explains.
That
your
I've
whole
tried.
take.
I've tried to watch multiple Harry Potter movies.
To
and
America.
I can't get 15 minutes in without falling asleep. It's just so incredibly boring.
They have not aged great. I think that's why they're now
It-
talking about making a television series out of them.
Oh no.
Because the movies themselves, as standalone films, and people are going to come after me for this, they do not hold up the way that a lot of other films from that era have held up.
I
Just as standalone films,
I'ma
works
tell
of
you-
cinema.
even when I watched it in the I went to the first Harry Potter. I was like, yo, this is a worldwide phenomenon. I can't wait. I sat there 15 minutes in the theater. I was knocked out. Boring. Just
I think people
boring.
watched it, though, because they read the books and loved the characters. Not because they're like, this is a work of art.
Jurassic Park
Like
taught me
Lord of the Rings, Return
never
of the
to
King.
read the book before watching the movie. Never again.
Jurassic Park does tell you a lot about dinosaurs that the movie tends to misrepresent.
And that's why
There's a book.
Michael Crichton, right?
Yep, that's why I don't read books before I watch the movie.
Because you don't want to know that the Velociraptor is actually like knee high.
Yeah, it's just like it. Like I was
Same. I do that. I do the
expecting-
same reason.
I was expecting all this great stuff, and it was so underwhelming, and everyone was like, "But this is such a great movie." I'm like, "No, it's not," and I realized it's because the book warped my expectations, and I didn't want that ever again.
I can relate.
You don't read anymore either.
Blake Griffin.
Mm.
That could be a ceiling for me. No. Anyone?
No.
So, Amin, we are reckoning with a story that might be the biggest story in human history.
Yeah.
This is the question we come to reckon with. Like, is this story the biggest story in human history? The story that Congress itself talked about yesterday on Wednesday, because it's about UFOs. And a House Oversight Subcommittee heard some claims, I would say that they are mind-boggling claims, that called to the stand testimony from witnesses that included former military pilots.
How do you know that these were?
And a guy named Dave Grush. David Grush, a former intelligence official turned whistleblower, who said this particular thing when asked under oath, mind you, if the U.S. government had found the bodies of alien pilots from a crashed UFO.
How do you know that these were not our aircraft?
Some of the behaviors that we saw in a working area, we would see these objects being at 0.0 Mach, that's zero airspeed, over certain pieces of the ground. So what that means, just like a river, if you throw a bobber in, it's going to float downstream. These objects were staying completely stationary in Category 4 hurricane winds. These same objects would then accelerate to supersonic speeds, 1.1, 1.2 Mach, And they would do so in very erratic and quick behaviors that I don't have an explanation for.
Jesus.
If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries, yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
So the Pentagon, I should say, fully denies this claim, but we bring in Payne Lindsey to help us understand what the we just watched. And Payne,
crazy.
Payne, you host a popular show called High Strange. It's about alien encounters. It's basically like, the X-Files, but a podcast. And so now that we're dealing with your territory here, man, like you were at this hearing, were you not? You were there. You were in Congress yesterday while we were on air. Take us inside of that scene.
Well, I heard I was going to be on your guys' show, and it was like 8 o'clock last night, and I'm like, can I make it to D.C. in time? And we just hauled ass out there, and first time ever going to anything like this in my life, but it was really packed. It was so packed that they had an entire overflow room for other journalists, and the public can attend it. And just hearing them say these kinds of things in a serious setting like that was really kind of just bizarre and surreal. And it felt like it was potentially a very historic moment. Like in 20 years, we'll look back at this as maybe the opening of the floodgates of a lot more information.
So I have no idea if that guy we just listened to is credible, if he's a kook. I have no idea, but I just want to start with the most surreal, bizarre claim that you heard now put into the congressional record yesterday.
I mean, I think the biggest one is that for decades now, I mean, according to David Grush, for decades, there's been a sector of the U.S. government that has been operating a crash retrieval program. So basically, in layman's terms, UFOs, alien spacecraft, would crash on Earth. They would confiscate these things and study them behind closed doors and try to reverse engineer them. And with some of those crashes, there were actual alien cadavers, alien bodies, non-humans, not from Earth, like the science fiction version of what you would think it really is.
I'm kind of at a loss for words. They ask him about, have these biologics ever, or these non-human biologics, I should say, have they ever hurt or attacked someone? And he responded somewhat in the affirmative, not quite. It's like he's seen people get hurt. And so I guess my question to you, Payne, is how is that not a bigger takeaway, that not only are there apparently aliens, but that they're hostile as well?
I mean, you could probably look at that more than one way. I kind of took it as if people are, working on these crafts, I'm sure people pressed the wrong button and something blew up one time. Or there were interactions with certain aspects of a craft that would hurt and harm a human body. Not necessarily, a laser beam just killing a rando guy in the military. I think it's more like accidents, because whatever they're using, whatever they are, it could be harmful potentially if you're up close to it and we're not used to it.
Payne, I should be very transparent with you. As you're talking, explaining this, as we're listening to David Grush talk about this, Chris Cody's kook meter is just, it's
Really?
beeping real loud.
Sound like a
You
turkey.
must be scared of it.
Yeah.
I mean, the question that I'm dealing with is that, okay, number one, David Grush, that witness, what does he have? How legit is that? But then there's this other video I want to play that I want Chris Cody's kook meter to respond to, because there is a Navy commander, right, Payne? A Navy commander who claimed on Wednesday that he and 3 other military pilots spotted, quote, a small white tic-tac-shaped object hovering below their jets above the Pacific. And he testified that this object had no wings. It approached his jet. It vanished. It appeared seconds later, 60 miles away. Like, can we get the video of Ryan Graves, the pilot, who then added this?
Some of the behaviors that we saw in a working area, we would see these objects being at 0.0 Mach, that's 0 airspeed, over a certain pieces of the ground. So what that means, just like a river, if you throw a bobber in, it's going to float downstream. These objects were staying completely stationary in Category 4 hurricane winds. These same objects would then accelerate to supersonic speeds, 1.1, 1.2 Mach, and they would do so in very erratic and quick behaviors that I don't have an explanation for.
So, Payne, why should we believe these guys?
I struggle to find the motivation for why they'd be making it up. I think that no matter what they saw, whatever it was, it spooked them. And these are the guys who fly the F-18s. These are guys who know all the shit. So if they're spooked by it, then that should say something to us. And I think that's why I find them more credible than not.
I mean, you've talked to pilots, yes? Like in your capacity as
Yeah,
UFO
I've talked to Ryan
expert.
Graves actually before. Yeah,
so, so how do they get, when they want to say this stuff, what's the response internally, right? Like, why are we only really getting this out in full color now in Congress? What's it like behind the scenes as he's explained it to you?
So to be honest, if he was just some grifter guy who wanted to, get famous for some pretend UFO story, he would be acting differently. He was actually a really hard get. He was not, foaming at the mouth to tell me anything. And he was very concerned about, this being more scientific than anything else. He's not trying to do all the hokey stuff. He doesn't want it to be, some trope of a sci-fi story that it's always been. He wants to really break that stigma and, based off his own personal experiences and all of his, former friends in the Navy as well. It's been like, for a long time, these guys have seen this stuff and they haven't had a way to report on it or do anything about it.
So, Amin, what are you thinking as a guy who has seen many, many movies about aliens?
Yeah.
And you're now reckoning with am I now in this? Am I in this film too?
Because you said this is the most. You started with this might be the most important discovery.
If
of
this
our
is
lifetime.
true, I'm just saying I have no idea if any of these guys. It's very conspiracist. I've seen on Twitter. Does the first guy, David Grush, believe in the Vatican's involvement in this? I have no idea what to think.
I think that the main thing for me is just the idea that when I think about my personal belief, I've always believed that there's probably life somewhere, but intelligent life, that's the one where it's like, because if you think about what life is here, we're very human-centric, and we think about, yes, there's life on Earth, but really there's like millions of organisms that aren't capable of building sophisticated societies and interstellar travel and all that stuff, right? It's just like ants and amoeba and like dodo birds and all that stuff that's existed here on Earth. So it's like, yeah, there's probably life somewhere, but is it intelligent life? And when you start talking about UFOs, that was the interesting thing, going back to the non-human biologics, I'm like, well, what if aliens found like those spacecraft with the Russians sent like a dog up into space or whatever? It's like, that's a non-human biologic, right? Like, so is what they found actually what operated this craft, or is it just, something
You're
that they put on
wondering
board?
if the aliens sent us the equivalent of a golden retriever.
Yes. Pretty much.
Payne.
Maybe.
Payne, this guy, David Grush, right? The guy who has other conspiracies that I want to be very skeptical of as he provides a new one. He said that he had, quote, specific knowledge of misappropriated funds, like mislabeled funds that end up going to secret government UFO programs. What is your theory of the case here? If we are to believe that this stuff that he's alleging here has legs, what is the government alleged to be doing?
I mean, the problem with his story is that he's the guy coming forward as the whistleblower saying, I'm aware of this stuff, but he isn't the guy who has the physical proof or has the picture or, what it would take to convince probably most people, right? But he's also mentioning, over 40 people he's talked to. So I think the alternative is actually stranger, that 40 people with top level, like secret clearance, have been gaslighting him for, a decade to what end, right? So I think that there's something definitely here. And I think that, once Congress discovers, if it is true that there's been funds misappropriated, this is going to be the linchpin in how we can, tap into some sort of top secret program if it does in fact exist.
It's like how they call Al Capone, right? It's like the paper trail of
Yeah,
money.
this is a classic, like, you know, what the feds do, right?
Well, that's the thing, though. The Pentagon has never gaslit anybody. I mean, they would never do this. I mean, Payne, I'm trying to balance our skepticisms, though. But I imagine that for you, how do you feel about this? As the guy whose beat is UFOs, to now see yourself watching this scene unfold in Congress.
I'm still very skeptical of everything myself, but I've looked at this as many ways as I can, and I'm struggling to find the reason why he'd be making this up. So I don't think he's lying, and I don't see why anyone else would be making it up to him. So, you know, until I see more, I wouldn't definitively say anything, but, you know, going with my gut, it's exciting times, because I think either way, you know, this has been a rumor forever that, you know, the government has UFOs and aliens and Area 51. It's like, okay, like this is a tired conversation. How are we still talking about this? It never went away. We never debunked it. So I think that we should find out either way if this is true.